build something greater, build something beautiful, build something that even they can't touch. Community is a good place to start. I'm well aware that this is a very unpopular opinion. I'm not necessarily trying to put it out there on some like change my mind stuff because I don't think anyone can change my mind. But I have, for the past about 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, started to question why it's so popular to take on the role of the oppressor or to imitate the oppressor and become oppressors ourselves. How do I explain this? I have noticed that in America, we who are in the minority are now trying to find the win, right? The power over those who are in the majority. But it's very strange because the way that we're doing it is basically just by acting like them or turning their behaviors over on its head and returning it back. I don't quite get what we've got going on here because I learned something about myself. Just because other people are jerks to me and then I have to like put up a boundary, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden I feel great about that boundary. I am a giving person. My heart is to give the shirt off my back. When I don't do that, when I'm not in a safe enough place to be able to just be in my natural state of being, I suffer. Yeah, I could just keep giving to people who are going to take advantage of me or not. And, they're not really suffering by me not giving to them because they'll just go find someone else. Takers are takers. But I'm suffering because I'm not in my natural element. And the truth is, most of us who come from other places, our cultures are not really like that. And if they are, there's probably some history of oppression there. Most of us come from people who were trying to have some sense of unity. And I think another reason why movements nowadays are so stalled out and why nobody really gets to see progress made and it all just feels so stagnant is because we're not actually unified. None of us are really a unified front. And now taking on those behaviors of like power, control, and dominance, all it really does, it doesn't end the oppression. It just changes who's in power. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you're living inside of a system that an oppressor built, do you really think that you getting a little bit of power in their system is actually going to hurt them? Because it's not. It's not going to do anything. And that's why you hear phrases like, are these companies ever going to learn? No, they didn't learn before either. If they appeared to learn something, it was probably just a quick pivot for the moment until they figured out how to do what they wanted to do anyways. I think that it's very important for many of us to check ourselves and ask, do I have the spirit of the oppressor in me? And I don't mean like check yourself. I mean like, do I have that in me naturally as a person? Is that who I am? Because if it's not, you're not okay. You're not going to be okay. And no matter how hard you try to be, oh yeah, haha, haha, then you're going to have guilt. You're going to be racked with it. Like, oh gosh, why did I do? Oh man, was that? You're not going to actually be able to just stand there and be like, yeah, see. And I feel like there are people who experience that, but we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about the fact that we don't feel any better mistreating anyone. We don't want to talk about the fact that we don't feel any better when we mistreat people. We don't. In the moment or in the collective, in the tribe, in the group, we might be like, yeah, but then we all go home and we think, I really hope that doesn't happen to me one day. That is what I think triggered this understanding in me. A few years ago, I experienced something where if I say this, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about in most cases. You know how some people don't want to make, let's say, I don't know, a wedding cake for certain types of individuals? Remember when that was like a thing, which is a terrible business move, by the way. No one should not be making anybody cake. Make the cakes. That you're a baker. Anyways, well then the people who didn't get the cake, okay? So the people who were being oppressed, essentially, the people who were being mistreated and discriminated against, they said, you know what, I'm gonna do that too. Now I won't make you guys cakes. But the thing is, now that group is at risk of looking the exact same way. And now you've got the Spider-Man moment. I think that the real freedom is not really about switching places with the oppressor. I think that it's about breaking the whole system. You know what really bothers me that I feel like no one really notices because we're also being trained to even more than ever hate the generations before us and after us. It was already kind of a thing like 15, 20 years ago, But now, because we have all these little tribes online, it's really, really bad. But you know what's messed up? Your kids don't know why you hate. Your kids don't know that you're just returning the oppression to the oppressor. So in their mind, you're just hateful. Here's the thing, they may process it in different ways. Some of your kids, and this is going to sound a little bit familiar. Imagine it's the civil rights era, and you've got a whole community over here and a whole community over here. And this community over here is saying, stay away from them because they're bad. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but people like me exist, okay? And what was happening is when these people over here were saying, don't go over there, the people over here were just getting more and more intriguing to the children over here. And their children started going over there and saying, I'm really curious about this. Remember the whole dare thing? I think people talked about the fact that dare just made people more aware of all the different types of drugs there are. Do you guys remember the one from Community? There's so many different jokes about that. So the thing is, unless you are like in a highly unified or cultural, like if you're a Black Panther or something like that, and you're raising your children to understand why you are doing certain things. See, again, I just don't see that. I don't see a Black Panther as going in and trying to be an oppressor. I see them as being unified and trying to help to ease the tensions and to make people's lives better, right? But let's say you are an extremist in the negative towards that, like you're really pro-Black and Afrocentric and you hate the other side. If you at least are explaining it to your kids or something, or like maybe they're super sheltered and they only interact with other people like you, maybe there's a chance that your children will become educated and they'll understand your movement. But that's not what's happening. What we're talking about is the entirety of society hating everyone, hating each other, looking for reasons to be offended. No empathy. Nobody's real. Nobody's honest about anything, because being honest would then say, oh, there's nuance and now I have to have empathy or understanding here. And I don't want to have to do that. So no, 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 no. And our kids are watching this stuff. The youth are like, either now I want to go to the other side and see what's up because you're making me curious, or I'm now going to carry on your hatred, but where you're doing it because someone hurt you. See, this is interesting too. When we flip oppression on its head and become the oppressor, we don't want to talk about all of our failures. We don't want to talk about where we were oppressed. We want to feel that power because we're hurt inside. We're probably not going to tell our kids, hey, this is the reason why I hate this person, or why we don't mess with these kind of people, or where we don't go over there. You're just going to be like, we don't do those things. Especially in my culture, we don't really explain stuff. I think maybe the gentle parenting is starting to reach, but still, we don't really explain stuff. The way we all have been with kids historically is definitely disappointing, but let's just be real. Anybody who says that slavery didn't affect us culturally is just dumb. Like you're just a dumb person. I'm not even talking about it like, let's get into the argument. Any people who dealt with that kind of history, especially at the levels that America took it to, what do you expect, bruh? What do you expect? Every time we got a little bit of, they burned our stuff down. Come on, man. The trauma that was woven into our DNA that we're having to unravel, these generational curses. It's a real thing. And it's just really weird to me when people are like, oh, don't bring that up. It's not real. But here's the truth. We have all this stuff that we now culturally are having to deconstruct and dissect and say, which parts of this do I want to keep and what do I want to get rid of? And because it's making our culture more fragile, there are some of us who are just clinging to it really tightly, and then others who are like, oh man, I don't even want to be a part of that, so I'm going to go to the other extreme. To me, that is exactly the way the oppressor handles things. The oppressor does not want anyone to really know how the system works. The oppressor does not want us to peep game. When we act like them without really fully understanding, instead of resisting them, we decide to step into their system, they've already won. They've already won, you guys. Like you're just doing them for them. You're oppressing yourself thinking that you're in a position of power when you're really not. It's actually kind of wild to see how backwards it is and how easy it is to misunderstand our position sometimes. I think that that's a really big problem too. There's a cognitive dissonance in all of us when it comes to interactions and the differences in culture and just Americana versus everything. Like, it's a lot. And I think that if we continue to forget to stay true to ourselves and our culture and our people and how our ancestors would have done things, how the people who came before us made certain that their communities were healthy, none of that is really woven into this new spirit of oppression that we've all taken on, or of the oppressor that we've all decided, oh, that's me now. I'm the winner. I'm first. I'm number one. I know the best. I'm offended on behalf of everyone. All this weird stuff that we do, it's exactly where they want us. They want us in this state of confusion. They want us behaving tribally, thinking tribally, but only in the lowest forms. They want us to be duped into believing we actually have power in their system, but we don't. But outside of it, in our communities, we do. And if we're not teaching our kids about that and we're letting the internet raise them, that cognitive dissonance is only going to get worse, bruh. I think that more of us need to be more grounded in who we really are. I think that more of us need to figure out what that even means. I think if we want lasting freedom, we need to think about our dignity, finding balance, connecting with our community, because domination is not the way. It's just not. That's the mindset of the colonizer that's destroyed the world. Why would we take that on? I know, I get it. It's like, how else do I survive? But the longer people continue to think that way, bro, we're screwed. We're cooked. The kids are right. I don't know. I think matching the oppressor's moves just makes us become more of like what we hate, and then we start to hate ourselves, and now we're more mad at them for making us this way, and it's just a downward spiral into just being frozen and angry. And I don't know, I can't live like that. That's why it's been so easy for me to kind of stay out of it. But even I have noticed where there are parts of me where, you know, when I have that righteous indignation myself, it's just like, no, something has to change, something has to give, and I want it right this second, and I want it now, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen right now, right this second. I don't even have a place to go to be a part of something that's organized and all that different stuff. But I do know where my oppressor has been keeping me down. You know, there's really no like written code of how we are going to get back at our oppressors. We're not unified enough to have ever even had a discussion about it or anything. We basically we're all ending up having to be really isolated. Because think about it. If you convince yourself that the only people that you can trust are the people that are just like you, the moment your identity reaches an impasse with them, all of a sudden you're offended. You're like, I thought we understood each other. I thought we were the same. So now you've kind of hurt yourself, because it's like, oh man, I told myself I can't hang out with these people over here, and I can only hang out with these people over here, but now these people over here are acting like these people over here, according to my brain. So I can't trust anybody. Trust no one. And that's a really weird way to think about things. I kind of know that there's no way to really determine if someone is trustworthy or not just by looking at them, or if we have stuff in common. You could have met my twin, found that like we looked the same, but we were so different. We were raised different. If I had just trusted her because she looked like me, and then she disappointed me, I would have like been devastated. Like, but we're the same. I don't understand. That's just it's not a wise way to move through life. The truth is, there are Black people who you can and can't trust. There are white people who you can and can't trust. Every type of culture, every type of race, every type of gender, everything you can think of, none of those identity features make the person. And for some reason, we've gotten so caught up in figuring out who somebody is so that we can decide if we're going to trust them or not, that we don't give anybody a chance. We're so worried about losing that we just lose anyways. I think that the way that people respond to tragedy, I mean, throughout the ages, is proof that we were never meant to really be alone the way we are as a society now. That we were never meant to be so against each other. I think that in the past, cultures, tribes, peoples, they knew they needed each other to make it. They knew they needed each other to survive. And even if there was little bits of war and stuff like that here, it would usually kind of be like the same as it is now, where it's like, you know, the people at the top are controlling that, but the people, the regular folk, no, they still have to figure out how to live together. They still have to figure out how to make it work. If we're hardwired to connect in that way, I just really believe it is a part of the reason why we're all so exhausted. We're all so broken. Our physical bodies are no longer receiving the experiences that impact our hormonal responses and all that different stuff. I think that we're all super dysregulated in a state of fight or flight because we've lost our communities. We've lost the safe places. And everybody's always talking about, is this a safe space? But you know what's crazy is typically the safest spaces are not safe. So I know that it's really scary to think I'm going to be disappointed again. I don't want to be disappointed again. I don't want to be hurt again. I'm there right now. I have no one in my life, and I'm terrified to put myself out there because I'm worried that I'm just going to end up putting myself right back into the same situations that I was in before. But the truth is, that's not going to happen. I've grown, I'm wise now, and I understand what I was doing, what they were doing, why it was all happening. I have this radical empathy inside me to where I was defending them even for years for things I knew they did wrong. But that's not going to happen anymore. And now I can actually take the time to get to know each and every person that I feel that connection with, to say, what level of connection am I going to continue to invest in intentionally with this person? I think that we need to get back to that. That, I believe, is the true way to build communities. And you know what? The other day, Josh Johnson even said in one of his sets that the idea that building communities is a dead practice is a lie. And I think that it's going to start in here. We have to recognize we are lonely, we are oppressed, and we are not powerful enough as individuals trying to go out and oppress somebody. If you want the system that is oppressing you to stop oppressing you, you're going to have to dismantle it, not try to take over it, because you don't know the intricacies. You don't know the ins and outs. You don't know the families and you don't know any of that stuff. You're not on the inside. Make your own system. Make it one that does not oppress people, okay? Make your own communities. Connect with the people that make you feel like you, and be with them. Love them, give to them, guide where you can, follow where you can. But stop telling yourself that if you could just be the one in power, that's going to make you feel better, because it's not. Unless you're meant to lead the flock or whatever it is and actually be in some sort of power or influence over a group of people, maybe that is something. But this idea of I'll go out and make a dent or an impact on this bigger system by just pouring negativity and hate and misery and all this stuff into it is delusional. All you're doing is taking energy that you could have used for good, turning it and using it for bad, and then wondering why you feel so depleted. Because bad doesn't return anything but bad, guys. However you want to look at it, across religions, across beliefs, even in science and psychology, there's all these things that they're starting to understand about energy or about how things flow. And it's just really, really frustrating that it's so clear our oppressors want us to hate each other. They want us to not be able to trust each other so that we will not rise up against them. I don't mean to be a revolutionary. It's just the way that I was raised. But this isn't even really about that. If you don't want to get up and be a part of something bigger, fine. But at least stop trying to be a part of this bullshit, because it is not helping you. It is not going to make you feel better. And that is just not the way to get ahead. It's not. There, I can assure you, they have put in contingencies to make sure that even if you figured out their system, you still can't figure out how to crack the real code. So enjoy trying to decrypt this cryptic, but it's not going to happen. Instead, build something greater. Build something beautiful. Build something that even they can't touch. Community, it's a good place to start. All right, y'all. If you're interested in hearing more things from me that aren't always going to be so intense, but sometimes maybe will be, because I can be a pretty intense person, well, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And you know what? If you are a subscriber, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this one, thank you for listening and at least giving what I have to say some consideration. I would like to hear from you. Do you understand where I'm coming from, at least? That's like the first thing. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And if you do, what do you think? Do you think that there is a way? Do you think that the type of resistance that we're seeing now will really ever make an impact? Do you think that there's a way to even organize the negativity? I don't know. And if you agree with me, do you have any resources for me that I could check out? I'm really intrigued. I don't know if you know this, but I like learning. And I'm really intrigued on the science behind this, or even like the ancient wisdom, or you know what I mean? So let me know what you have or what you found. Well, I'm gonna get on out of here. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.